Good morning. Whoa. How'd you even know I was going to go live? Hey, good morning, everyone. Just going to send this to some friends. You can hear me. Make sure I'm all ready. All right, today we're going to be, let me get this right. Good morning. This is my workspace this morning. Let me get you propped up. Psyched to be working in my garage today. Got a really good night's sleep last night. Can we see my grassy desk? Yes, we can. Okay. Let me just get the chat ready. How are you guys feeling? All right. Yeah. See the chat. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me good. Give me a thumb. Oh, wow. It seems pretty instant. Can you hear me, everyone? It's 2 a.m. Good morning, Annie. All right. Thumbs up. You can hear me. Today I'm going to be talking about the anatomy of the roller skate. And it's going to be a quick one. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you, Kawaii Peach. I still don't feel like we are looking centered right now. Let me move some of this. What is that? Okay. Good morning, Annie. I don't know anything about those skates, but I know a lot about skates. What's up, Pan Pan? Good morning, everyone. Good early morning if you're in Australia. Hello, Rihanna. All right, let's get started. So today I'm going to be talking about the anatomy of the roller skate, and I'm going to show you all the different parts of the roller skate. First, I'm going to slide out some, first I'm going to take a deep breath. Okay, doing these YouTube videos is something to get used to. So here are all the resources that I'm going to need for my conversation today about the anatomy of the roller skate. These lipsticks do not belong in here. My coffee definitely does, though. All right. The roller skate is not a complicated mechanism. It is a shoe with wheels on it. And the way it works is by a mechanism called the truck. And I'm just going to go through very simply what all the parts of the roller skate are. So this is my roller skate, the Moxi Lolly skate that I use for my live sessions on Wednesdays on our YouTube channel. I teach all different levels, how to roller skate on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time and 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So this is my skate. I'm going to be showing you a couple of other different skates today. And, but just to get us started, this is the boot of the skate. Our boots are made in the United States of America in Red Wing, Minnesota by hand. So all the lollies and the jacks, they go through an assembly line of, 85 hands, 85 stations. So they first start, so the way these boots are, all the pieces are cut out with like leather cookie cutters. So they take the dies, which look like cookie cutters, and they cut the pieces of the leather. And there's a couple of pieces. There's the backstay, there's the uppers, which we call the quarters because they're the 2 quarter pieces, so they're the uppers. And then there's the tongue. And then what they do is after the cutting, they put all the pieces together and they get the lining. And then they put the pieces and the outsole together on what's called a last. So this is the mold that, this may be a little distracting, this giant coffee cup. So this is the mold that goes into the boot all while it's being made and pushed down the assembly line. So this is the shape of the foot that we model our skates off of. And it is a C last, but just so you know, no width, there's no like standard width system. C is normally the middle of the alphabet of the range and sizes of widths that we use. So usually a width system will go from A to E, and they double up on letters when, so this is the middle. This is like a C is our average, and we've got a giant range of widths that we're able to make at the roller skate factory. So the factory is called Rydell Shoes, and it sits right across the street from Red Wing Shoes, because there's some family history there, which we can get in another video. But just to let you know, this is the last. It does flex so that it breaks right in the middle, and there's a joint right here that you can't really see, because the mold is inside the boot all while being made, and then at the very end they stick this hole inside of it, and then they crank this joint together here really hard, and they pull it out, and then you get the boot. So the boot is attached to the outsole, and the eyelets are put on before all of the attaching. So you've got eyelets and hooks. And we also have a fancy M cutout here. So that is the boot. And then there's laces that you tie your boot up and make for a snugger fit. And the laces are 90 inches long. And then, so I don't know if there's anything else I can tell you more about the boot. The boot is attached to a plate, and we can get more into the intricacies of the plate, but just so you know, for now, the boot and the plate are attached together by mounting bolts here. So there's 4 mounting bolts that attach this plate together to the outsole. And then also attached to the plate, so there's a couple of things that you'll find on the plate. There's the trucks, and there's 2 of them. And the trucks are attached to the plate by the kingpin. So the kingpin comes out, it protrudes from the plate. Get these laces away so I can talk more about the plate. So the kingpins come out of the plate, and then there's nuts here that fasten a couple of things onto the kingpin. So you can't see the kingpin right now, but when you have a plate that's completely taken away from the skate, it looks like this. So you've got a plate, and then you have kingpins. Sometimes the kingpins are removable and sometimes they're not. It just depends what kind of plate you have. So you'll see there's 6 mounting bolts here. 8 mounting holes, and you can fasten it with 4 to 6 mounting bolts. And you can buy a mounting kit that looks like this with all of the parts that you will need to fasten your plate onto your boot. And you do that by drilling holes into the boot where you mark the plate holes where you want it fastened onto the outsole of the boot. So the boot, I should have grabbed this, I'm sorry. A boot without any holes looks like this, and you'll see that the outsole is nailed together in there. All right. And then you drill the holes from the inside to get the holes in here to fasten the plate on. All right, so these are kingpins. These are Kingpin Nuts. And you put a couple of things on these kingpins, you will see that the truck here, so there's the hanger part of the truck, so there's the barrel of the truck, and inside, so this is the barrel of the truck here. And then inside of the barrel, or protruding from the barrel, you have the axle. And that's why we call these axle nuts, because they go at the end of the axle. And there's threads on the axle that you can tighten these nuts onto. So this this truck goes onto this kingpin like this, and it goes into the pivot hole. So the way that this truck works is we lean and turn into the wheels, and this is where we get our turning mechanism. And the ball of the pivot arm goes into the pivot cup. And inside the pivot cup, you'll see a little bushing. So it's a pivot cup bushing or cushion. And this makes it so that the ball can smoothly turn into the pivot cup. And pivot cup bushings can be made out of different things. They've been made out of brass. Those ones are really difficult to maintain just because you have to remove the plate to replace a brass bushing. So we use urethane or a rubbery material to protect the pivot ball and to make it so that it can turn into the pivot cup more smoothly. So as you'll see, without bushings, the truck's not going to fit onto the kingpin. So you need to get bushings or cushions. They're called bushings or cushions because they're soft, pillowy pieces of urethane that go onto the kingpin. Now, they don't just go straight on there. You need what's called a retainer. So to make it real simple, sometimes you'll just have 2 cylinder bushings, and then sometimes you'll have a conical bushing. It really depends what kind of plate and how the plate was designed. On this particular plate, which is called the reactor, it requires a cylinder one and a conical one, and those come with the plate kit. Trying not to get too complicated here. Every one of these pieces can be sold separately, but we make it simpler so we sell incompletes usually because we're growing roller skating, and before you really get into the intricacies and understand all of the parts of the skates, you want to just get started with something that's fully complete first. And then after you're started, then you can start to understand why you might upgrade and make your product, change your product so that the feel of your skating experience is different or easier for you. So as you can see, the bushings are right in here on the kingpin, and we sandwich the truck with bushings or cushions. So bushings and cushions, those words are interchangeable, but they're describing these soft pieces here. They come in different hardnesses. Our bushings are made here in Southern California, and they're made of polyurethane. And they come in different hardnesses, but you'll start, if you get a lolly complete, you'll start with the medium hardness. And you'll also, because of the thrust plate, you'll start on 2 cylinder bushings. And the bushings go onto the kingpin here by first placing a retainer. So the bushings, so that you don't want the bushings to move too much around. The point of the bushing is so that the truck here can when you're leaning and turning, the truck will turn your skate and push into the bushing. So you really want the stability of the bushing on the Kingpin nice and snug. And the way that we keep the bushing from changing shape too much is by sandwiching it with a retainer. So when you're changing your skates, you put, when you're changing your trucks, you're going to put a retainer down first, then you put the bushing, then you put the truck, then you top it off with another bushing, and then you put another retainer, and then you put on the Kingpin nut. So Kingpin nuts typically are 9/16, and I'll get into the tools, but this is our Kingpin nut here. So now we know the basic anatomy of the skate is the boot. You've got laces. A high top boot will require about 90 inches of lace. So you don't want to get laces that are too short. That's really irritating. And then you've got the parts of the boot are the uppers. So we call them quarters because there's 4 main pieces of the boot. You've got the tongue, the 2 uppers or quarter pieces, and then the backstay. And the backstay is like the spine of the boot. And they're all attached to the outsole. And you can see that the outsole is nailed and glued in here. And the lollies and the jack boots are made by hand. We also have an attaching facility at Right Owl, so they can attach and make complete skates for you so that you don't have to buy all the components and put them together yourself. Many people don't have skate shops, so it's really convenient to be able to buy a complete skate. So you've got the boot, and then the boot is attached to the plate by mounting bolts, and you can get mounting kits if you wanted to change your plates. Once you drill into the boots, though, you would have to fill up the holes before remounting them, or find a plate that had hole placements in a different arrangement than the old plates that you had, so that you don't re-drill too close to the old holes. So once you choose a plate, it's pretty important that you're committed to it, because you don't want to drill too much into the outsole. Then you've got the plate, and we talked about the truck, and the trucks go on the kingpins. The kingpins you can't see once they're all put together, but they look like this. You've got the plate and the kingpins, and what fits onto the kingpin is the truck here. You've got the barrel part of the truck and the hanger. So these are the hangers. The whole truck mechanism is what's fitting onto the kingpin. So you've got the hangers and the barrel, and you've got the axle that's on the truck, and axle nuts and axle threads, and then you've got your pivot arm and the pivot ball. And the pivot ball and arm go into what we call a pivot cup. And there's a pivot bushing. There's 3 bushings to the truck. You've got 2 cushions that are on the kingpin, and they're sandwiched onto the kingpin with retainers. And then you've got the pivot bushing that goes into the pivot cup to make it so that the truck can turn and you can direct your roller skate. And then you've got a kingpin nut. So those are pretty much all the pieces of the plate. And then you also have your toe stop. And these attached to the toe stop, they will come with a combed washer or a waved washer. And let me see. Here we go. Forgot about this one. So the way that you get your The way that you get your toe stop off is by using the tool that should come in your box. Sometimes we call it the crab tool because it looks like a little crab. So there's two wrenches on here. One wrench is for the toe stop, and the other wrench is for the kingpin. And then the middle wrench is the middle hole is for the wheels. All right. The reason why, so I dance on these skates here. So I oftentimes take my toe stops out. I'm not traveling in those skates. I'm just skating in my driveway. So I'll take them out. I'll take them on and off so that I can practice in my driveway. So you've got the toe stop washer and the toe stop and the toe stop nut. And these should be well greased because the coaster insert that goes on the inside of the toe stop can be really sensitive. So you don't want to you don't want to ruin the threads inside of your coaster insert, your toe stop insert, because then it'll be hard to screw your toe stops back in. So you want to use like a thick grease is good, or lube them. Now, when you've got just a naked toe stop, if you don't have, there's different ways to adjust your toe stop. The lollies will come with an adjustable toe stop. So that means that it can go far in or out depending on how much weight you want to put into your toes. And what you're going to want to put on first is the nut. Then there's either a waved one, if you can see this, it comes up like in a wave. It's either waved, turned up, or a comb. So these washers go on after. If you have toe protection, you want to put the toe protection on first. And the reason why is because if you put it in the center, it messes with this little system here. And if you put it closest to the outsole, so last, then it's going to mess with your toe stop adjustment. So you put these on together, the washer on last, the toe protection on first. You screw it in with your fingers and you hold on so that you can get it in as far as you want. And then you just tighten it up here. I like mine to go all the way in because I like to put a lot of weight into my toe stops. You tighten it up as hard as you can tighten it. Okay. All right. So you've got your toe stop, your plate, your truck, your boot, and is it time to go on to the wheels? Let's see. I think so. So let's use another kind of skate. So the Moxi skates right now are really hard to find. People everywhere are ditching the gym and getting skates because it's the quickest, most fun way to have fun and get in your body and feel good in your body. I'm going to just check the chat board right now. Should also check my time because, oh man, time goes by so fast. Okay, we talked about the toe protection. Oh, watermelons, I'm so happy you're obsessed with them. Watch those hills in San Francisco. Oh my goodness. Those are like the best hills to skate, but you definitely want to be an advanced skater there when you're bombing hills. Let's see. Are there any questions? Oh, when you first get your skates, if you love the colors, so I'm like a big fan of vintage stuff. I like when things look old, and I really love I like scars, I like stories. So when you get your skates, if you don't want to love the wear of them, put Scotch Guard on them, spray them. All our leather is pre-treated, but it doesn't hurt to just treat it a little bit more if you want the color to last, because the sunlight will affect. I know this from having a store and having the skate displays in the windows. The sunlight will affect the color of the skates. The skates are going to take shape. The boots will take shape to your feet. And they're also going to naturally change depending on how much sunlight you're skating in. So if you want to protect the color and keep them clean, I saw someone ask about cleanliness, then you're going to want to Scotch Guard them. Yeah, Nimbus would be a great help right now. Thanks, Evie. Are you missing Nimbus? All right. Okay, pivot cups can wear down. And if you are feeling if you're feeling like your trucks are getting stuck in a way, you do want to remove everything from your Kingpin, take the trucks out, and then check to make sure that you don't have a rip or a tear in your pivot bushing. So the pivot bushing is probably the place that's the least obvious. These pivot cushions these need to be replaced, I'd say, depending on how much you skate, every 3 to 6 months. But it's like the hidden place that may make the difference of making your skates feel like new again. And the pivot bushings, the actual bushings on your truck, they also will create a groove. So the more you turn, the more you push onto them, they'll create a groove here. And when you maintain your skates and you take these off, just remember that when you put them back on, it may be difficult to find that groove that your trucks have been, bouncing off of over a long period of time. So you're going to feel a little bit of a difference. If you're sensitive like me, you're going to feel a little bit of a difference. And you're going to just be patient and keep skating and keep pushing hard, because eventually you'll find that groove again. All right, before I go into wheels and bearings and changing that out, I'm just going to show you these skates that right now are available. Our skates the lollies and the jacks are made in USA, but we do have other models available that Rydell makes or that Rydell imports. So Made in America is one way for Americans buying local. And we've become very used to purchasing and importing products that are made cheaper. But it's really important to us to keep the factory open, to keep the family history going, and we have to be competitive in the marketplace, and also to keep the prices of the American-made skates down. We have to sell imported models too, and we do have other imported models available today. So there's a lot of we can only make so many skates, and right now everybody's buying them. So we're putting these up on the website today, so that because they just became accessible to us, and they're called the 111. And I'm sorry, this is the Wave. This is the 111. It comes in black or white, and we're going to put Moxi wheels on them for our customers, because the Moxi wheels are the best wheels. And we also have Waves, and the Waves come with an indoor wheel that's 57 millimeters tall. And you'll also see this other piece here that we didn't talk about yet. So you've got the boot, and it's a high top boot with a heel. The reason why we have heels is because when we're going forward, we have a propensity to lean backwards in our heels, and if we've got a heel, we can prop back and find balance very easily into the balls of our feet, which is like our main control center when we're striding. And it's attached to the plate, and you'll see that this plate has what's called a jump bar. The adjusting of this plate is also a little different. You're going to use a wrench, and you want a thin wrench. So oftentimes you'll go to adjust your trucks here, and you may want to grab for like pliers, but you're really going to want a thin wrench. And these thin wrenches are available for sale on websites everywhere, roller skate sites. And you're not going to want to use these because they're too thick to get inside of and adjust here. So you can't really get in there. So you're going to need thin roller skate wrenches. And there's many different kinds for all the different kinds of plates. And if you buy a plate separately, they'll always come with a wrench set, like a little bag like this, but of wrenches. So the wave skate doesn't have an adjustable toe stop. You're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. You can also use a flathead screwdriver, but to adjust these or change these toe stops, you push your screwdriver in, turn lefty-loosey, and there's a toe stop screw in here that's gonna come out of the plate. You can buy different non-adjustable toe stops that are a bit softer than these ones. The softer, the more easy, like the more cruisery the stop. If it's a hard stop, it's going to feel jerky, possibly slide. But these toe stops won't do that. They don't slide around. And then you're going to turn righty-tighty with your screwdriver to tighten or change that toe stop out. The jump bars stabilize the kingpins. So they're called jump bars so that they keep the kingpins where they are and they don't flex when you're jumping really hard. And back in the 70s and 80s, jump bars were standard. They may look like a grind block. They're not, and they won't grind. And that's not what they're there for. They're just there to stabilize and give extra support to the kingpins so that the kingpins can stay strong and straight. And you're going to use, let's see, an 11/16 tool to loosen these kingpins. Now, why would you loosen the kingpins? Because the tension, when you relieve tension on the truck, like when you take this nut and you loosen it up, it's going to make the truck move. When you lean and turn, you're not going to require so much leaning and turning to move the truck and to direct the skate. So when you first get these skates, you are going to want to loosen the kingpin nuts so that they're easier to move around, lean, and turn, and direct your skate. Let's see, I think that's the only difference from this skate. These sit at the 111 and the 110 models. We're calling these the Joyride skate. So they do come with wheels, but I took the wheels off of here so that I can show you how to put them back on. So the other part, the last part that we're going to talk about, and I'm not going to get too far into it because I do have a video that we just posted yesterday and filmed on Sunday all about wheels. And you can buy the Moxi Classic outdoor wheels separately. Yeah, that wheel discussion was 2 hours, so I'm just going to be brief with this one. So the wheels come with a Moxi sticker. And they don't come with bearings. You're going to want to put your bearings in. You're going to buy 8mm bearings. And the bearings get sandwiched. So they go into the wheels, and you can, sorry, actually these ones are, I have all different kinds of bearings here. Oh, these are my ones or the other ones. Darn it. Okay. So you're going to sandwich the bearings. Let's do this actually. So this is the other wave skate. So you're going to take, we sell what's called a Y3 and a Y4 tool on our website. And on the Y4 tool, you've got the tool to take the wheels off. You're going to take the axle nut off, and then to get the bearings out, you can pry the bearings out by placing the end of the axle in the middle of the wheel, and then you just turn towards you. They come out very easily. Inside of the wave, you will find a washer, and this helps the wheel. To spin on the truck. You'll have 2 bearings, and in between the 2 bearings, you'll have a spacer. You can buy these spacers separately. This also does make for the bearings to roll more smoothly and truer on the axle. So the bearings, they spin on the axle so that the wheels can spin. And there's 2 pieces that you can buy that make the tension of the bearings be truer on spinning on the axle. And those are the spacer and a washer. So if we wanted to change these wheels out, we would get the wheel. We would put the washer on first. You put the bearing on. You can press the bearing into the wheel on the truck. You can actually, our wheels are, our hubs are so easy to put bearings on that you can do it with your finger. And you're going to put it onto the, oh, I forgot the spacer. So you snap the bearing into the wheel like that. And then you put it onto the axle. And you get your nut, you put the nut on the end of the axle, and then you tighten it up. And you want to make sure that you don't go too tight and crush the bearings. So as soon as you start to feel a little resistance on the tool, you're going to back it out and make sure that there's a free wheel spin, but there's no wiggle on the axle. And that's how you change your wheels. All right, so these waves and the 111 and the 110 model are going to be up on our website. Today, I think I went through the entire anatomy. We went through the boots and the plates, the laces, we mentioned the jump bar. We've got kingpins that come out of the plate. On the kingpin, you've got a truck that is sandwiched between 2 bushings. The bushings have retainers on the top and on the bottom of them. Then you've got your kingpin nut that goes on the top of that right here and fastens everything together. These 5mm adjustable, this is an Allen key that's 5mm, and this is meant for, some plates will have, right here, they will have a little screw in here that's going to loosen, and it's going to open up this little cut right here in the plate so that the toe stop can be adjusted not by the screw and washer way, the nut and washer. It'll be tightened by this Allen key here and a screw that goes into the hole of the toe stop. So we went through adjustable toe stops and fixed toe stops. the wheels, the bearings, the nuts. We talked a little bit about spacers and washers. They sell mounting bolts on roller skate shops and websites so that you could, if you wanted to, change your plates. There's two different sizes of mounting bolts. There's a short screw and a long screw. The long screws are to go up through the heels. And then the short ones are to go through the outsoles of the front. And these screws are broken off with a breaker. There's a little tool that looks like a metal straw, and it needs to be the width of these little nuts right here. These nuts have little biting mechanisms that make it so that they bite onto the outsole and don't spin. And they need to be broken off and then sanded, these screws here. Because if they're not broken off and sanded, then they'll go into the wheel and it'll make it really hard for your wheels to roll. So these are all the parts and pieces that I have and can think of. We also have this keychain tool that comes in black and teal. It used to come in pink. It's called the Vice Versa Skate Key. One of our shop workers, Vice Versa, worked with us and came up with the idea of having like a U-lock key to be able to unscrew your wheels because I wanted a skate tool that I could always have with me on my keychain, because once I was screwed without one and needed to skate home with 7 wheels. I think that's everything. That's the anatomy of the roller skate. And thanks a lot for watching. Now I'm going to look at the chat and see if there's any important questions that I can answer. Grass officer, happy birthday. That's nice of you, Maggie. All right. You're so welcome, Tamiko. Thanks, Yvonne. Super appreciate you for watching the wheels. Do more of these videos? All right, we will. Grass officer, the Moxi factory is the Rydell factory, and it's opening up on May 4th. We're going to be posting this video and we're also going to be adding timestamps and the dimensions of all the tools here, so that if you need to buy them, you can buy them yourself. So can you use plastic trucks to ramp skate? Maya, that's a great question. The actual truck is this part, and we don't have any trucks that are not metal. So metal is strong, plastic will flex. So I think what you're asking is about the plate. Can you use plastic plates? So these are actually nylon, and it's a very light, flexible, strong material. And we use the nylon plates because for a beginner skate, you really don't want to add a whole lot of weight, and metal plates tend to be really heavy. So these are really a great, affordable, flexible plate for anyone getting into skating. And I'll do another tutorial about all the different plates. But I wanted to get this intro one out there so that people knew what a plate was before we go into the intricacies of the plates. But the plates can be, these kingpin angles change, and that will change the feel and the way that the truck mechanism moves on the plate. And they're designed for different ways to use skates. Brandy, we can teach you how to put your bearings and your wheels on. I really believe that every skater should know basic maintenance, and taking your wheels on and off is it's not a very obvious thing to learn. You know, just by looking at it, you won't it'll be difficult to figure out. But through these videos, you can easily do it yourself. Eleanor, that's a really great suggestion. I will definitely consider doing that. I'll just need to get all the different plates in before I can do that. Oh, Josie, yes, Josie, I have experimented with almost every kind of truck and plate that I can find. I want to see what that feels like and how it changes my skating. And I've only found wider trucks to be important to my vert ramp skating. Wider trucks will make, so every time you change your skates, or a part of your components of your skates, there's going to be some advantages and also disadvantages. So wider trucks make it really difficult to jump and turn. So 360s, 540s become really hard to do because you're so grounded. But wider trucks will also make for a lot of stability in your landing. So if you're if you're like landing on a ramp and the stakes are high and you don't want to fall, like you want a lot of stability. So a wider truck can help you with that. But it's going to be much more difficult to turn and you're not going to feel as agile, and they're also difficult to dance on. So there's just advantages and disadvantages, and it really depends on what kind of skater you are. I know that I'm an all-purpose skater. I love to dance. I love to ramp. I love to use them. I love to skate through the sunsets. I love to use them for transportation. So I am like the true recreational skater. I never want to take my skates off, and I want to use them for all the different ways that I can find creative expression and feeling in my body. So I like components, either multiple skates, and I've never been able to maintain more than 2 pairs of skates at a time. So I like components that are used for all different styles of skating. I don't like to be stopping and changing. I'm a busy person, so I don't like to stop and change my components for what I'm going to be doing. Not everybody has a local skate shop, T-Bean, and local skate shops are definitely very useful when you're getting started, but that's why we're making these videos, is so that you can, if you don't have a local skate shop or you can't get there, that you can learn how to do some of this stuff at home. You're so welcome, Eleonora. Sadie B asks, how loose should the trucks be? I skate outside and sidewalks and rough streets, and I'm also very new. So, Sadie B, or for anyone that's loosening their trucks, you just want to make sure that there's at least a thread or 2 sticking out. You don't want them so loose that the kingpin falls below the nut. That's going to make them too loose. These bushings are flexible, so they are, the more you tighten them, the more the bushings are going to squish, and the more the more reactive the bushing will be, the tighter it is. So the harder the quicker it's going to bounce off of it as you put pressure on. So the looser your trucks are, then the more responsive the truck mechanism is going to work. So the looser your trucks, if you're skating outside, to answer your question, Sadie, when you're skating outside and there's lots of cracks and rocks and different levels of the ground changing, like you're going to be going, down handicap ramps and up onto the sidewalk, and there might be potholes. So a looser truck setting will be more comfortable because it's not going to require hard pushing. It's going to be more of a cruisery feel. It's going to be great for your knees. And but when you're skating indoors, and let's say you're jumping and dancing and spinning, you're going to want a tighter truck setup so that you can rely on the landing, and the landings will feel more consistent every time you're leaving and landing and jumping, and yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. I really like a tight setup. I like tight trucks because I want them to be consistent every time. I don't like a whole lot of wiggle in my truck setting. And if you're looking for, so weight, and I don't mean your body weight, but I mean how much weight you're able to put into the stride. So if you're really hard and confident on your strides, then you may want a harder bushing. And if you are less confident, you might want a softer bushing or cushion. And Powerdyne, which is the plate brand that all of the plates that come out of the Rydell wheelhouse, all the plates that Moxi uses for their packages, they have a brand called Powerdyne, and that brand encompasses all of our plates and all of our pieces and parts and tools. So the Powerdyne bushings, we call them magic cushions. They come in 4 different colors. Red is the softest. The red are the 78A. So these bushings are all made of polyurethane here in Southern California. And so they're high quality urethane. They make leaning and turning and responsiveness in your trucks much more responsive. So the red ones are 78A and the orange ones are 82A. The orange ones are the middle of the road, medium cushion hardness, and those are the ones that come on all the Lolly Completes. Then the yellow ones that you can buy aftermarket are, those ones are a bit harder. They're firm, they're 85A. And then the purple ones are 89A, so they're the hardest ones. So the more weight and more confidence and more strength you can put into your trucks and you're using regularly, the harder your bushings can be. And then the more cruisery you want them to be, or if you're a very light person, then you won't need such a hard bushing to make them more responsive, so you could go softer. Lots of questions. You are Oyamiwa Walker. Oyamiwa Walker. Did I say that right eventually? I really appreciate your knowledge. I cannot think of a question, but you have the information I can use. Thank you so much. So nice of you. Looney Roller Skate asks, or Lunny Roller Skate. I apologize if I don't answer or I don't say your name correctly. I dance on roller skates and skating in the park. What wheels should I buy? Brilliant question. So if you're dancing, you're going to want a shorter, narrower wheel. And if you're in the skate park, you want more like, you want a harder wheel. So you don't want a really soft, big cruisery wheel like the Lolly wheels or the classic wheels. The classic wheels that come on the Lolly packages are very big and soft and cruisery. So you want it, because the transition, which is a fancy word for like curvature of the ramps, because the transition's changing and your body weight needs to change and respond to transitions in the skate park, you want a wheel that's that you can feel the ground, so that you can kind of sense how the ground is going to be moving and changing. So you don't want a really soft wheel. You want something that's at least a 92 and up. So our trick wheel, to answer your question, I would suggest the trick wheel in the 55, since it's shorter, so you're going to feel more ground control for dancing. It also has a wider contact patch than our other skate park wheels, so you're going to connect with the ground more. And it's also a 97A, so it's going to be a bit harder, and you're going to feel the ground more and be able to rely on it for dance and ramp skating. So someone's asking about weight, and you can't really say like this is what they weigh. Altogether you probably could, but the skates are set up for outdoor skating. So our first wheels that we want to put our customers on are outdoor soft wheels, which tend to be heavier. And the reason why is because we want skaters to be able to skate wherever they want so that they can find places that they're going to want to really get into that style of skating, whether that's smooth, flat dance floor or a flat concrete patch near the beach with a beautiful setting, or maybe it's a skate park. And then you start with an outdoor wheel so that you can skate anywhere, any place, and then you change your wheels. The wheels are different weights, the plates are different weights, and what mechanisms and parts that you put onto your plates are going to change the weight of your skate. Lighter doesn't exactly equate to better. When you're jumping and skating ramps, a little bit of weight actually helps, because when you're taking the weight out of your feet in the transition, the more weight you have there, the more body awareness you can have. So when I'm airing, I don't like a really light skate when I'm airing, because I want to feel the skate as I'm doing maneuvers in the air. So for instance, in the backflip, it's much easier to have weight on your skates and know where it is when you're backflipping than letting the weight fling out of the ramp and away from you. I feel more body awareness when I've got more weight in my skates when I'm flipping. We have a fitting video that's coming out with a lot of different feet, a lot of different people talking about their feet. So I'm going to save that question about lanai. Your question is, how are lollies with wide feet? And the leather stretches 2 sizes. So the length is the most important part of finding your right size. The leather is going to stretch to the way that your foot moves inside of the boot and how wide your feet are. The last that the boots are made on are a C width, and we've got some measurements for the C width last. And you can use those measurements, but just know that so many feet fit the lolly skate because of how forgiving the lolly boot is made. It's a thinner boot. There's not a lot of stiffeners. There's not a lot of padding and construction to fill the boot up. So because of that, the stretch and the break-in period on the lolly is much more forgiving than on the Jack or any other imported model. Did that answer your question, Lanai? I would say that they fit medium to wide feet. Do you think it's better to learn how to use blocks on curbs or building a sliding bar and put it in the grass? I want to learn and I'm scared. Eleonora, I don't blame you. You know what the best thing I've found? So I've got a bunch of different rails and curbs. I've pretty much created this like baby skate park in my driveway that I practice with my boyfriend. And is it better to, your question, Eleonora, is it better to learn how to use blocks on curbs or building a sliding bar? So a curb is I'm just going to put this I've got this really cool silver gel my sister gave me. It's like an immunity glove, extra strength structured silver gel. And I just touched my face. I'm real cognizant of that right now. I was playing with parts. I'm also going to put it on there. So the question is, if you think about the way a curb is designed, it's a 90-degree angle. And what's great about coping is that it's round. So if you've got slide blocks, or if you have the wheelbase, the space in between the front and back axle, if you've got the room in your wheelbase to be able to jump onto a coping. So whether that's PVC coping or whether it's metal coping, you've got so much more tries. Like there's so much more angle on coping than there is on a curb. On a curb, you really have to find the angle and lean, and your body position is going to change to be able to get onto the curb, because the curb is, our skates and our wheelbases aren't made for the shapes of the curb. But the slide blocks are made for the shapes of coping. So you've got more chances of landing and more like more range of balancing position. So I would, to answer your question, Eleonora, I would build a PVC slide rail out of wood, 2x4s, and a piece of PVC that you can pick up at Home Depot, or I would practice with that. And I would also put that on the grass. The best advice I have for you, though, is to warm up your quads and hamstrings. So because I've got all these little rails in my driveway, I've found that if I just go for it and my body's not warm and my muscles aren't like broken in and ready to do the movement, then my body's scared and tense, and I end up like not being really relaxed on the rail. And you want to feel really ultimate relaxation on the rail. The more, your knees are your shock absorbers. So the more your knees are bent, the more balance you're going to feel on the rail. Oh, I'm just realizing I went over an hour. I was supposed to only talk for 20 freaking minutes. Darn it. I'm going to get off really soon. But if you are practicing on the rails, I would find a curb or a block and start jumping, lifting at the knees, and landing in a without skates on. Start jumping onto a block over and over again. I like to do, I'll post a little warm-up video actually, because I've filmed my warm-up before of what I do before I jump onto rails. And you jump onto a block, and you can, I turn a quarter turn to the right, and I do that 10 times. Then I do a quarter turn to the left, and I do that 10 times. Then I 180 onto the block, I do that 5 times. Then I go the opposite way, 180 onto the block 5 times. And then I'll 360 onto the block 20 times. And then 360 the opposite way 20 times. And eventually I've jumped 100 times. And my thighs, my quads, my glutes, my butt, my hamstrings, my IT bands, my knees are all like warmed up and flexy ready to go jump onto obstacles. And that's what I would suggest you do. Like, you want to get your body really warm and comfortable and ready to jump onto rails before actually like going for it. Because it's scary if you're not warmed up and you don't have, you know, slide blocks to do it. And I do practice in the grass first and then slide it out onto the driveway to do it. All right, that's a lot of questions. If you didn't get your questions answered, please put them in the comments. I read every single comment and I respond to them before I go to bed at night. And I have a couple to do still from the wheel video, which I'm going to get right onto. I got a lot of work today. There's a lot of customers looking for their skates. And if you're one of those customers, just know you can change to either the 111 black or the 110 white high top skates that are also put out by Rydell. Or we have a much more affordable model, which is the wave skate, and this also comes in black or white. And as I showed you, all of these trucks, you can change the wheels and change the toe stops and adjust the trucks to make them suit your needs this summer. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to be doing more of these videos. Friday, I'm going to be talking about the health benefits of roller skating. So please tune in at the time that I suggest on our Instagram. It is either going to be 8 or 9 o'clock. Probably 8 o'clock. So that's Friday. And then please tune in tomorrow, Wednesday, for our live roller skating lessons at 5 o'clock. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel if you appreciate this video. It also gives me encouragement to keep coming on and doing these things, which I need a lot of because I need a lot of practice. And I don't feel like I'm quite nailing it yet. Thank you so much for all of your questions, and thanks for your attention. I love you. I love all skaters. Thanks for encouraging the Moxi brand. Please put your questions in the comments because I'm going to read and answer them. Please subscribe to our channel. Thank you very, very much. I hope you have a beautiful, lovely, gratitude-filled day.